Hello, everybody. We have Marieanna Wild here with us to share her blueprint story, and it's so good. It's all about personal finance, business finance. I mean, she has such a great story to share. But before I steal the show, Marieanna, just tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how long you've been a business owner.
Oh my goodness, this is so fun. I can't wait. So I, as Shanna said, am Marieanna Wild, and I live here in Madison, Wisconsin. It's freezing cold here today, by the way. I am a virtual and event brand manager for small business owners. So I've been in business for about a year, coming up on a year. Well, it's a long story. I started the Blueprint model in January of 2018, and it opened my eyes to this dream I had of wanting to serve small business owners, but not really knowing if I could financially make it work. And I'm a total numbers geek. So I was like, I can't make the leap if I don't have this on paper. So for me, I started the Blueprint model, and I remember going through, I don't even remember what week it was, but I was looking at the numbers, and I called my husband into the room, and I was like, look at this, I can do this. And so it was the end of January, I put in a 3-month notice to my corporate job and left my corporate job in April, and then officially started, I would say, in July. So I started working with a client in February. So I'm coming up on a year there. But yeah, it's a crazy story. We
I
can get
know.
into it, but it's crazy.
I love your story so much. Gosh, there's so many ways that we could talk through your story. I'm sure everybody's like, how'd you quit your job and all these things, but I wanted you to share okay, so being a numbers person, you would say you wanted to know that you could make this work financially. I know for some people they are in that position, they have to do that. Others, they just want to chase that dream. But what were the steps? What did you do in those beginning kind of stages to even, what numbers did you look at? How did you know if you could do it? And I think you mentioned before, you're kind of a money avoider. So how did all that go together?
Such a money avoider. I love sharing this story, but I'm so much like my father in the sense when we were younger and we would go shopping, my mom and my brother would run away into all the stores, and my dad and I would sit there on the mall benches and just twiddle our thumbs. When's this gonna end? I hated shopping. I hated spending money, and I hated feeling I loved saving it, but I didn't what's the word? I didn't put all of my energy into money by any means, but I was just scared to use it in ways that what if something were to happen and we didn't have the emergency funds, or what if we need this to grow our family and we don't have the emergency funds. So I've just always have been thinking about that. So I never wanted to put us in a position where I was chasing after these big dreams and then we just survive off of my husband's salary and commission. So it was one of those things yes, I wanted to chase my dreams and it sounded great, but to be able to see it on paper, that is what changed me from being an avoider to being this can actually work. And I had no idea how pricing would work or anything would work until I honestly walked through the why behind what I wanted to do and who my ideal clients were. And seeing that on paper totally changed the game for me of this is what I think I want to do, into being this is the business model that I really want. These are the 5 women that I would dream to work for. And this is what I need to charge in order to still provide for our household needs. So learning that financial need really helped me figure all of that out, which was insane.
Personally and business wise.
Yes, because really, in a sense, yes, when you run your business, you need to have the money to run your business, but in the end, it's also to provide for the dreams you have in your house, your life. So my husband and I, we have the full year of 2019 scheduled out of all the house projects we want to do, and medical things that we need to do for starting our family. And just we have all of these things all planned out, which helps me figure out that financial need. That helps me out figure what do I need to be pricing myself and how many clients do I actually need to have in order to hit those numbers. So that changed it from being an avoider to completely planning out everything and going into my weeks and my days with that plan in mind. So it's completely changed everything, being able to see that financial need on paper.
Yeah. How do you feel going from your corporate job, do you feel you would have left that as confidently if you had, how would you have left your corporate job, or would you have just stayed there if you didn't have that plan in place?
I would have stayed there. And I loved my corporate job, but it was sucking the soul out of me. Mentally and physically. It just was a lot of hours, which we all know entrepreneurship is as well. But there was just something that I didn't feel fulfilled at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like what I was doing, even though, to be honest, I was fighting cancer, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
It just felt like what I was doing in my day to day wasn't as fulfilling as it would be if I was impacting someone like on a screen or in person, that I could see the impact being made.
Yeah.
And so it just, yeah, how I was spending my time and how I was impacting just didn't feel as fulfilled in my corporate job. And I know if I wouldn't have had those numbers on paper, I would still be there. Totally
Yeah.
would still be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was all about making that plan. And like, I will never forget the day I like looked down and I was like, Tyler, we can totally make this
Yeah.
happen. Like, this is going
Yeah.
to happen. So,
So tell
and
us that, like, oh, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say it did give me so much confidence. Like even going to my boss and putting in a 3 month notice, like that was just absurd to begin with. But it gave me confidence. Like when I left my job, I didn't have all my X's and O's in my business set up,
Yeah.
but I knew that if I continued to follow my business plan, that they would fall into place. And
Yeah.
a few months after I left my corporate job, they did. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Will you share what numbers you were looking at and how you felt like you don't have to share like what you needed necessarily, but like you needed this much, your salary and how many clients, what were the numbers you were looking at?
Oh gosh. So I'm a little probably
It's a test.
I know. I'm probably a little too in depth on this, but I'm going to give you like business numbers and also our like family numbers.
Yeah.
But I looked at, okay, so if I start a business, now that means taxes. So I was like, I need to provide a certain amount of money, but I need to make sure I also include that at the end of the year I'm paying in my taxes. So I like put that aside because I didn't know yet what I needed. But I looked at like, what does my husband bring in? And I put that in a spreadsheet because I have a really large spreadsheet. But I looked at like, okay, what are the house projects that we want to do in this house? And I put all of those down by month and how much they would cost. I have a pink binder because I'm a Shanna Skidmore mini me from like the past 3 years that had our average monthly expenses. So I like knew over the last 3 years like how much like when it comes to like mortgage, cell phone bill, all of our like fixed expenses, I had an idea of how much that cost. So I put that in the line item. I looked at like trips that we were taking for the year or like things we wanted to go. How many like business expenses, like what conferences did I think I wanted to go to and what would those cost? So I kind of combined my personal and my business needs all together, which yeah. And at the end, I also added like, okay, savings. Like, what do we want to do with savings? What do we want to do for emergency funds? My husband and I have actually been trying to have a baby we're going on 2 years now. So there's a lot of like savings that we need to help with that. So it's like all of these things. I mean, there's more, but we don't need to get into it. But I like dreamed about this lifestyle and like what it would cost us with those numbers. And then at the end, I added in his, what that looked at. And that was our financial need. And then I looked at what he brings in, and then the outcome, like the final number was really what my business needed to be around, because if I wanted to provide for our financial need, it needed to be that other number. So yeah, and it was a scary number, but that helped me figure out how many clients I needed, and it helped me figure out like what do I charge myself depending on the amount of time I can actually work that actually pays my financial need. So
everything you just says like poster child for having a business plan. Literally. Like there's just so much beauty in I think business plans, nobody knows like what's supposed to go in them and what is it and what am I supposed to have, but that financial plan of knowing this is the amount I need to make. This is how that's broken down gave you the confidence to pursue your dream and something more fulfilling for you.
Yes. And you know what else is I think a lot of us are so scared to talk about pricing and we're scared to like put our name behind a really high price. But when I knew that that price that I was giving to potential clients was because it was going to provide for my financial need for our family, it gave me so much more confidence to not like discount myself, because I knew I needed that price in order to like actually provide enough for our family so we could pay the mortgage and we could go on these trips or we could do whatever we absolutely needed. And it helped me say no to the wrong clients who weren't in that tier of my clients. And it helped me actually get, this is so funny, but when I worked through the Blueprint model, we had A-list clients, right? And we put down like 5 of our top dream clients. And like I get to work with 2 of those top 5 because I stuck to my guns of what I was pricing myself. And I think that's just something that like, if you don't have that financial need and that why behind the money side of your business, like you're never going to stick to charging what you're worth. So that was like mind mind-blowing moment for me.
I mean, from somebody who, I think it's just a testament to somebody who kind of avoids money, doesn't feel confident. I mean, just doesn't, maybe there's fear there, not really knowing. I don't want to look at it, to like, so because you have a purpose behind every dollar. I think even, somebody that doesn't want to look at money. I mean, you're such a test to that. Like now, I mean, those numbers.
Yeah.
You know what you're booking. You have a purpose. You talk about generosity and giving, and like, I just think that's so amazing. That's why I love having the money conversation and like just talking about money, because it's a tool to live the life and build a business that really fulfills you.
Yeah. And I think it's so beautiful because like my financial need in 2018 was to get my business off the ground and to like feel confident in it. And you know this, but in 2019, my business is like, or my goal is all about generosity and like being able to put in time and energy and money to be generous with what I've been given. And so I feel like that generosity has also been a part of my financial need now in 2019. It's like, how much do we want to give to our church, or how much do we want to give back, or just different things. And I think it's really incredible how knowing your financial need can totally, like, you can build your why for that year, or your word, or your mission for that year, or your business into your financial need and see it on paper, like how to make it come to life. And I just think it's beautiful. Yeah.
You're the best. Okay, wait, before we end, I always ask, and we've talked a ton about this, but just what would you say, what is the best thing that you've learned about money?
But I think the beauty of it is knowing that like putting your why into your financial need totally gives you the confidence to go after it and do it. So just understanding in general those numbers and financial need has been life-changing for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. For all of our other money avoiders or people that feel fear or lack of confidence or whatever it is when it comes to money, just hearing you talk about that purpose behind it. I mean, it's really pretty, actually. How you say it was like beautiful. So thank you for sharing. You're the best.
You're the best. Thank you so much.